Okay, so we'll get started. Good morning and welcome to Taxback International's quarterly webinar series for Q2. My name is Katie Kerwin from the Taxback International Marketing Department, and I'm going to be moderating the webinar today. This quarter, the focus is on VAT recovery. More specifically, we'll be looking at how implementing some simple steps can dramatically increase your VAT recovery amount. The running time of today's webinar will be approximately 25 minutes. You can submit questions throughout, which we will do our best to get through afterwards. You can enter questions on the right-hand side of your screen. If we're unable to get to your question before the end of the webinar, we will get back to you individually afterwards. So our speaker today is Cora Phelan from Taxback International. Cora is our Senior Global Solutions Manager here. She's coming to you today with a wealth of experience in VAT recovery and lots of interesting insights into fulfilling your VAT recovery potential. So over to you, Cora.
Thanks, Katie. Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. As Katie mentioned, my name is Cora Phelan, Senior Global Solutions Manager with Taxback International. So the whole point of today's webinar is to go through how you can maximise your potential VAT reclaim using the data that you have and perhaps educating some employees. So I'm going to take you through some simple steps. We implement improvement programs for a lot of our clients, for a lot of our VAT reclaim clients, to decrease the VAT that can be lost. The first step is always to analyse the data from corporate card, expense management systems, or from historic VAT reclaim applications. The second step is always then to identify the VAT gap. Generally, when we onboard a client, we identify the full opportunity, but when it comes to submitting applications and getting refunds back from the tax office, we don't get near that 100% opportunity claim, and there's always a VAT gap. The third step to an improvement program is all about educating your employees, identifying risk areas, pockets of employees that are the main offenders to providing incompliant invoices or no VAT invoices at all. I'm also going to bring you through a brief case study and a result from one of our clients. And at the end, as Katie mentioned, we'll have some questions from you guys. Pop your questions into the right-hand side of the WebEx tool, and we'll come back to them at the end of the presentation. Perfect. So as I mentioned, the first step to improving your VAT reclaim is looking at the data. Looking at where your potential is, we can do that by making sure, by putting the transactions into our VAT calculator. What kind of data do you need to provide to your VAT reclaim provider? It's so long as it's transactional data with the spend country, the origin country, and the type of expense, we will be able to identify the VAT reclaim opportunity based on the country of spend and the country of origin and the type of expense. We have an in-house VAT calculator that we can identify your VAT potential day one and where you should be at for your VAT recovery opportunity. So doing this as part of the process is really crucial to see, where you should be on your VAT reclaim project. So to get the VAT analysis, it's very simple. We usually plug into an API connector to your expense management system or your corporate card system, review the transactions and come back to you with a VAT potential analysis. So the VAT potential analysis would always show you the total spend. So if you have a 10 million T&E budget, what of that 10 million T&E budget can you actually reclaim on? So our analysis will provide you, what's ineligible spend. If you're traveling to a lot of countries where there's no VAT opportunity, we'll be able to highlight that for you. And of your eligible spend, so of your transactions that you go to from maybe say the US to the UK, that's all eligible spend, and we identify what's VAT reclaimable in that eligible spend. So that's part of the analysis stage to improving your VAT reclaim. We'll also be able to identify your ineligible expenses, break it down by entity, what opportunity is there for you, so then you can hone in on those high value opportunity entities and submit VAT reclaim applications for them. When we process the data and process transactions on behalf of our clients, we also use OCR technology. And you can see here kind of a sample of what our OCR technology does. So as long as we look at transactions, we'll also look at your invoices. And the OCR technology will pull out all the key information that we need on your invoices to make sure that they are VAT compliant. So you'll see here that we're circling some of the the key identification, like the company name, the date, the VAT value, and the total value. These are all very key in recovering VAT. So if this information isn't on invoices, it makes it in compliance, and it makes it difficult for your VAT reclaim provider to get those invoices corrected. The second step is when we've recovered your VAT, we need to identify the loss potential. So what is that VAT gap? A lot of organizations are only recovering between 30 to 45% of their potential VAT value. So there's over 50% left on the table for a lot of organizations out there, and we aim to try and minimize that gap by looking at the data, by analyzing your data and identifying that VAT gap. So our audits will identify which entities are losing the most VAT, which expense types are not being reclaimed, and most importantly, which employees are losing the most VAT. So knowing all that knowledge and knowing all that information will allow us to minimize the VAT gap for our clients. And this is something that we provide as part of our VAT reclaim solution to our clients. This is a sample report based on a client's entities in Europe. The bottom blue is what's recovered, and the top light blue is what's lost potential. So you can see that the GmbH entity is losing quite a lot. And having that visibility allows us then to go back to our clients and hone in on that entity to say, right, if we can just pick what kind of transactions we've been losing VAT on, like is it hotels, is it restaurants and bars, all of this, we'll be able to maximize your potential by educating your employees. This is just another sample of VAT recovered and lost by month. This is kind of interesting as you look back on 2015, 2016 figures, or again 2015, 2016 figures. So you can do it month by month as part of the continuous improvement program. So you'll be able to see what potential is recovered and what's lost potential over the calendar year. We can also stagger it by quarters. One of the key interesting facts when it comes to VAT lost by organizations is that we can identify the employees that contribute to the VAT lost. And one of the key facts, an interesting VAT fact if you wish, is that 10% of your employees will contribute to over 60% of the VAT lost. So Taxback International will identify the employees, the 10% of the employees per entity, per region, per cost center that are equating to the most VAT lost. So when we have that knowledge of those employees, then we can use that with our clients to educate that pocket of employees and see how we can change their ways of submitting expenses, getting invoices from vendors and retailers to make sure that they are VAT compliant going forward. So if you're an organization that has 20,000, 30,000 staff, we don't want to have to educate that 20,000 staff. If we just educate 2,000, have a tailored approach, we'll be doing quite well. This is also another sample of using the data that we've collected over a number of years for one of our clients, and we can see an increase of over 70% throughout the various years based on 2015 to 2017 data. So that's taken the transactions, what's been recovered, and the annual increase. So again, using all this information about what we've recovered, using the transactions from your expense management system or corporate card system, we'll be able to identify where the VAT has been lost, and honing in on that lost opportunity and identifying your employees and educating them. That's the whole key to the success of maximising your VAT reclaim. So we've identified where we've lost the VAT for our organisations, or where the VAT hasn't been recovered. And we've identified maybe the employees in various different entities that have provided incompliant invoices. And we've also identified the types of transactions that are mostly providing incompliant invoices. So what we do now is educate and engage with your employees. very simple. And we have some key features. One would be a YouTube video that we can circulate on your intranet or send by a link to the pocket of employees. The YouTube video starts with, how you can affect the bottom line with your organization and identify what you need as an employee, what you need to get on the receipts that you upload to your expense management system or that you turn into your expense claims administrator. So again, it's just a 2-minute video that can really strive to the success of the VAT Reclaim project. Another tool that we provide to our clients is what's called a personalized employee VAT ID card. We work with a number of organizations who have multiple different entities across Europe and across the world. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, a lot of employees don't know which entity details to put on their as receipts or to put on their invoices from hotels or from car hire companies. So a simple VAT ID card, which is a credit card size, fits in their wallet, explains to the vendor in multiple different languages what needs to be on the invoice, and on the back end of the card, it'll have the exact name, exact entity details, and VAT number of the entity that they work for. This is a very simple solution that can provide your clients with the knowledge, or your employees with the knowledge of what they need to get on their invoices. And this can be tailored by entity, by organization. One of the new features that we've provided to our clients in the back end of last year is an employee handout. So as when an organization rolls out an expense management system or a corporate card, the employee is handed this piece of paper that goes through, when you're uploading your invoices to your expense management system, make sure you do the right things. So on the first thing is always invoices missing details. So an invoice can be missing a supplier VAT registration number, the invoice is in compliance. The invoice is missing a VAT breakdown, the invoice is in compliance. So we showed you an example of a fully VAT compliant invoice. And again, this can be done in a physical handout, or it can be done by a WebEx like this that we're doing today, or a quick tutorial video like we have as well. Another example that we see, especially on expense management systems, is a bad scan of an invoice. This is very easy to correct. Unfortunately, if there is a bad scan, we may not be able to read the invoice, so it could be blurry, so we can't accept it for VAT reclaim purposes generally. Another time, there could be a credit card slip covering the details. We've all been there, we've all checked out of a hotel, and we've all gotten that invoice with the credit card receipt stapled over the crucial information like the address of the employee. So just making sure that that doesn't happen, or even when we take a picture of that invoice, to take the credit card slip off that invoice before we upload it to the expense management system. That will allow for a clear and fully compliant invoice, and we'll be able to see all the details. So that one simple step actually saves one of my clients a lot of money, just by telling employees, don't do that anymore, just make sure that the credit card slip is lifted up before you take that picture. Easy. We've also seen instances where there's a bad scan. Invoice is not fully lined up, so it's like missing details of the supplier. The finger is blocking some crucial information, like maybe the VAT amount or the gross amount. These are all things that can be very easily fixed if we just tell your employees about it. So again, fully clear invoices on your expense management system will completely maximize your VAT reclaim solution, and it doesn't cost anything extra to tell your clients about this, tell your employees about this, and educate them. It's just, telling them the simple information that can maximize your potential refund going forward. Now, one thing that we see a lot, invoice in the employee name or the wrong company. Invoice should be issued to the employee in the employee name. Some organizations won't allow tax offices won't allow an abbreviated company name. I think we know which tax office I'm talking about. But just to be sure, always make sure that the invoice is in the company name and the company address. That's the go-to rule on making an invoice compliant. Company name, company address, and then you should be good. What we see a lot of is other documents that aren't VAT invoices. We see a lot of pro forma invoices in expense management expense claims. These aren't VAT invoices. So we just need to, again, educate your employees on getting the correct type of invoice. We would see a lot of company cards from taxi companies. They're not VAT invoices, things like that. And credit card slip is the main offender here. Credit card slip is not a VAT document, and if we can educate employees on that, you'll see your refund opportunity increase significantly as well. Because if they have the credit card slip, they have the invoice, so it should be easy for them to upload it. Again, making sure that it's not a tax invoice. A lot of the invoices say it's not a VAT or it's not a tax invoice, so make sure that they get the correct type and a fully compliant invoice. So a couple of simple things, making sure that the invoice is in the company name, making sure that it scans correctly onto the expense management system, making sure it is an actual VAT document. These are very simple things that we can tell your employees about, and that's 10% of your employee base. Educate them on those key features, and that will see a rise in your VAT reclaim going forward as well. One of the other key features that I see that we haven't listed here, other documents, will be a missing enclosure. So if a hotel bill is 5 pages long, but your employee has only submitted the first and last, we need those 3 pages in the middle. So just educating them to make sure that they upload everything in relation to that transaction, that again will also increase your potential. One of our key new features that we are rolling out to clients at the moment is the travel notification email. So this is built in, this sample is from the Concur travel module. So it's built into the travel booking system. And when your employee books their travel, whether local or foreign, if it's incurring VAT or GST or any indirect tax, the system will send a push email to your client, to your employee, and then they'll tell the employee that, ask for a full VAT invoice, not a credit card receipt. Make sure the invoice is in your company name and address, and make sure the invoice shows the VAT amount. For some, excuse me, for some clients, we'll also put in, if required, we'll put in the exact company details, so the employee knows what should be on the invoice. We also have gamified the travel notification email, so the employee sees where they list on VAT compliancy, and how their VAT compliant invoices are affecting the VAT recovery of their business, and what their total VAT recovery opportunity has been over the last period, 6 months, or from January 2017. So it's all about getting the clients, or getting your employees more involved in this, and seeing where they impact the business and the bottom line for the business. We have also been asked to, on the travel notification email, to list cost centers, list different, let's say the marketing team, the sales team, and see where that employee ranks amongst other employees in that team on their VAT compliancy invoices, on the VAT compliance of their invoices. So that seems to be a bit of competition. It always helps with the VAT compliance, and always helps to getting clients buy-in as well, and employees buy-in. The Pocket VAT app is also available on Android and Google, and Android and iPhone. The Pocket VAT app can be downloaded by your employees, and when they're traveling outside of the country, or if they're traveling to a conference or organising a conference out of their home country, they'll be able to identify what that potential can be recovered when they travel to that foreign country, and when they stay in a hotel, when they have some meals, when they have a transfer, hire a car, they'll be able to identify what VAT reclaim opportunity will be available on that trip, and be able to then make sure that they get VAT compliant invoices. We'll provide some educational tools. We have some educational tools on that Pocket VAT app, and that's available for all employees to download. This is one of my favorite case studies. And we have a number of case studies within Taxback International, but this case study is from an organization, a manufacturing organization, who implemented our continuous improvement program. And the continuous improvement program is basically what I just went through. We identified their full potential. We also then followed on with the first VAT refund applications. We identified where they lost VAT. And then we located the 10% of their employees that resulted in the 60% of VAT lost, and we educated those employees using the travel notification email when they're making their booking, also using the handout that was emailed out to the 10% of the employees, and we also sent through the YouTube video. So those 3 educational features resulted in a 42% increase of VAT recovery in the first year. So they saw a 49% reduction in the number of invoices with credit card covering the information. 49%, that's absolutely huge. And it's a simple, quick education to your employees to say, just don't do that anymore. 52% reduction in the number of invoices in the employee name. So before we educated them, the employees thought they were doing the right thing. But a simple, again, trigger YouTube video, they started getting the invoices in the company name. So that's perfect. 67% reduction in the number of missing invoices and 65% reduction in the number of bad copy invoices. So some simple tools has really made a massive improvement on this client's VAT reclaim. And you also have to remember, a VAT recovery agent will charge you additionally for getting invoices corrected, for going out to your suppliers, getting the invoices in the correct company name, getting missing enclosures. So this organization then is saving money because they're not being charged that additional cost for the document retrieval service or correction service. So they're saving on that as well. Over 20 billion is left unclaimed each year. By using a VAT recovery agent, you get back your VAT that you're entitled to claim back. But using a VAT recovery agent that has a continuous improvement program, you get even more back. And you have more visibility over on a global level or even on a local level if you wish on where you're missing the VAT and where you can affect that bottom line for your clients, for your employees and for yourselves. So I'm just coming to the end of the WebEx now. I'm just hitting the 25-minute mark, so I've been right on time. I think Katie will be happy with me for that. So Katie, is there any questions?
Yep, so we do. We have a couple of questions after coming through there. The first one there coming in from Mark is, I am an existing client. How can I avail of an analysis of my continuous improvement program or potential, with Taxback International?
Okay, great question, Mark. What you should do is just ask your account manager to set up a continuous improvement meeting for this quarter. We can have the report done for you within 10 days. Look at your 2016 transactions, look at where you're missing the VAT, and look at where we can educate your employees. You can reach out to your account manager or just pop your details to Katie, and I'll make sure that your account manager gets back to you today with a plan.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Cora. Question coming in from Vinny, which I think was actually kind of addressed there since he sent it in, but what strategy would you suggest to increase VAT reclaim with employees?
So education is the key, but we don't want to be in a position where we're constantly sending memos to employees. We want to make sure that we target the correct employees and target them properly. So we identify your main travellers, we identify that 10% and we educate them. There's no point in educating the whole entire organisation if your whole entire organisation doesn't travel. Educate the ones that are, and then you'll see the maximum refund opportunity. And then don't forget, once we educate them, 6 months down the line, we'll be able to show you a new continuous improvement program about where we've increased value and where we've maximised your potential. But again, we'll be able to show you those employees who haven't got on board with the process, and we can put together a new plan for those and how we can identify and how we can get traction on getting those employees to provide compliant invoices.
Okay, perfect.
So it's not just a one-off project. Yeah.
Coming in from Vinny there again, he also wants to know, are originals still required or are all tax offices now accepting copies?
It depends on that's a really good question, and that's a question I get asked in every single meeting I have with clients. So it depends on where you are based. It depends on what kind of reclaim you're doing. Is it domestic and is it foreign? Is it 8th directive or is it 13th directive? So we look at what kind of project it is, and we then advise you whether originals are required or not. but you need to look at the local tax rules.
Okay, perfect. And then also a question coming in from Edel there. I don't have much time at the moment. How much time does it take to implement a VAT recovery program with Taxback International and to concur?
Okay, that's a really good question as well, Edel. Thank you. The time it takes to implement a VAT recovery when you use Concur is very, very quick. It takes 10 minutes to turn on the API connector that we have with Concur. We do the analysis that I've shown you here, and then to implement takes just 2 to 3 weeks. It's really, really easy.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's about all that we have time for there. Just getting close to the end. So thank you, Cora, for sharing those great insights with us. If anybody's questions weren't answered during the webinar there, we will reach out to you directly afterwards. And we hope that you'll be able to join us again for our next quarterly webinar when we'll be shifting the focus to VAT compliance. So we'll be sending out some information in the coming quarter about that. And again, if you have any other questions that you think of after the webinar, you can pop myself an email and I'll pass them on to Cora and we will get back to you.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you everyone this morning for dialing in. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.